a black paramilitary biker, a cockney skinhead, a surfer beach bum, a punk rocker lesbian, and a supermodel walk into a bar. They shoot the bartender. Welcome to Skrull Kill Krew, Mother Skruller. Now, I feel like the best way to walk you through this would just to be recounting my own story of how I found the Skrull Kill Krew comic. I was just looking through my local used comic shop when I'm stopped by this cover. I mean, just look at this glorious piece of classic 90s edge. A tied up Skrull, boot firmly placed on his shoulder, and gun cocked and ready to blow his green Skrull skull out through his nostrils with the tagline, "Buy this book and we shoot this Skrull." If that doesn't reel in your Xenos hating heart, then I have no idea what on this planet will. Also, have I mentioned yet that this book was written early on in the career of Grant Morrison and Mark Miller? Yeah, the best way I can describe the first run of Skrull Kill Krew to you is two celebrated comic writers having an edgy blast with a hero team dedicated to stopping an alien invasion with intense prejudice. After reading that first run, I was hooked on the team, but didn't look much farther into their other comics online just from being honestly really busy and reading other things at that moment. Some time passes, and eventually, while scouring through a unrelated used comic shop, I find this gem. The complete Skrull Kill Krew collection. And naturally, I bought the holy grail of Skrull killing goodness on the spot. Now we're here. I've finished the full collection of Kill Krew comics, and despite some hiccups in the series, I just felt that I had to tell people about this because I haven't heard of them anywhere else online. I haven't heard anybody talking about them. I've never heard any posts about them. I've never seen anything about this team before in my life. Firstly, I've had a fondness for the Skrulls as villains for a while from outside media, such as playing Super Skrull and Marvel vs. Capcom 3, and their appearances in both the Avengers Earth's Mightiest Heroes cartoon and the Fantastic Four World's Greatest Heroes cartoons. Man, shows when I was a kid have really long titles for some reason. Secondly, this might be the most "you can't do that anymore" comic, as I've come to call it, that I've ever seen in my life. For God's sake, the first issue opens with our protagonist shooting a teacher and student in the middle of a classroom just to reveal that they were Skrulls in disguise all along. Lastly, this comic is super accessible. Pretty much every issue relevant to the crew sits right here in the complete collection for only like $30 on Amazon. If this sounds interesting to you at all, then I implore you, either check it out for yourself now or prepare for spoilers, because I'm going to ramble for the next however many minutes. Only one way to tell. Editorially, the crew were a pretty odd bunch, even on the drawing room table, with this beginning as just one of the first projects helmed by Tom Brevoort, who would become one of Marvel's longest-serving editors, with the relatively new writers of Grant Morrison and Mark Miller working for the miniseries. Morrison at this point already being fairly well known for his work with DC on Animal Man and Batman's Arkham Asylum, A Serious House on a Serious Earth, cementing himself as a part of the British wave of writers entering the American comic book space, along with writers such as Neil Gaiman and that miserable sack of shit Alan Moore. God, I hate that guy. As for Miller, he was a bit more of an unknown at the time, mostly having worked with British magazine 2000 AD as a collaborator with Morrison before moving to work with the Big Two in America along with Morrison Senpai. Also keep in mind that during the mid-90s when Skrull Kill Krew was first published, the American comic book industry was doing a little collapsing at the moment. Due to this, the original plans for the new run was stripped back to just a miniseries. Granted, a miniseries that would be full of the over-the-top violence and edge that Miller and the era he found himself in would become known for. For the plot, I don't really just want to verbatim sit here and recap everything that happens in the book, because that really would just ruin it for everybody here, and only act to pad out the video to some crazy long length for no real reason. Plus, I'm not trans, so it's kind of really their bit. However, the TLDR here is, remember when the Fantastic Four dealt with Skrull infiltrators by hypnotizing them into cows? Yeah, it was pretty funny, right, guys? People ate them. Among other things, but that's for later. These Skrull burgers, and I'm not joking at all when I say Skrull burgers, because it's implied multiple times in this comic that the cows got processed into fast food hamburgers. Like, McDonald's just gives you freaky alien powers from masquerading bovine, and it's all Reed Richards' fault. Oh, yeah, the backstory. These burgers mixed with Skrull meat had an interesting reaction to the unsuspecting general public. That being an oncoming disease that causes violent inhuman seizures, leading to death or shape-shifting superpowers, and the ability to see Skrulls, which also gives you the violent seizures leading to death. Now with a death warrant hanging over their heads and only one clear enemy to them before they succumb to their illness, the Skrull Kill Krew assembles, one edition at a time, looking for any Skrull to smash, shoot, and slash all along the way. And honestly, I'm not going to get into the weeds about it, but this is pretty much it. Most of the enjoyment from this comic is simply reading it. The snappy and over-the-top dialogue from our misfit anti-heroes proves to be a great source of comedy as a backdrop to the violent showdowns with various Skrull agents and Hydra that one time. Oh, hey, Cap. My personal favorites here being, firstly, the infectiously hateful leader, Ryder, with his classic one-liners and constant use of ebonics. I was not kidding about that "can't make this today" tagline. Also, Ryder's like my new ride or die pick for Marvel Rivals. Make him a tank, give him crazy copy abilities or whatever. I don't know. I'll throw up my little character sheet I made on here real quick. Alright, back to the regular video. Then the British skinhead Moonstomp, whose Skrull infection is slowly turning him black in a form of divine irony, even as he takes immense pleasure in his unscrolly duties. Jesus Christ, that was terrible. The last member that drew me in the most was Riot, the most dated character design in this entire comic in the best way possible. She's a punk rock raver from the 90s with an attitude to match, and uses her Skrull powers to become a massive bug monster for ripping and shredding, even if she doesn't want to sometimes. For those reasons, I kind of feel like we can end this section here, really. The first Skrull Kill Krew doesn't have some big overarching theme for me to dissect or deep world building to gush over. If you came into Morrison and Miller's Skrull Kill Krew run and just expect a fun romp of Xenos evisceration with lighthearted banter and snappy one-liners, then you've got a great read on your hands. And honestly, that's all books have to be sometimes. And if you came in expecting anything more than that, look, man, you saw the cover. What did you want them to do? Now, going into this, I want to settle some expectations. This book is not really a Skrull Kill Krew run, but it is, in actuality, a tie-in with the 2008 Secret Invasion event, featuring the crew. Since they're going after Skrulls, you might as well get the team that's been doing it for over 10 years at this point. Avengers Initiative focuses on the different branches of the 50-state initiative set up by Tony Stark after the events of the first Civil War comic. Yeah, there's a lot of backstory leading up to this that I'm not going to get into because I'm only here for Skrull squashing action, honestly. The basic setup to this book goes, Ryder and Riot, the only remaining crew members, find a member of the initiative stranded in the desert about to be set upon by another undercover Skrull. The hero 3D Man is revealed to actually have the innate ability to see through the Skrull's disguises, thanks to his Triforce Vision ability. No, not that one, Funko Poppers. From here, the crew must link up with other C-list heroes across the initiative to stop the invasion as fast as possible, while the mainline Avengers team focuses all their efforts in New York. It's revealed that each state-sanctioned team has been infiltrated by at least one Skrull agent each, with only 2 exceptions, which I don't think really comes up after that point. I don't remember. One of my favorite aspects of this book was the amount of super minor heroes being used as the fighting force against the Skrulls, with each stop at an initiative base, giving the team at least one new member to aid them. Many of these being invented just for the Avengers Initiative series, but some being older characters that just never took off all that much, which makes every new chapter a delight to read since you never know who's going to join the fight next. To put it into perspective, the only hero who wasn't a Skrull double agent that I knew about beforehand from this run was the Eric O'Grady Ant-Man. And that's the main gist of it all. This really is a fairly simple event tie-in book that just so happens to feature the greatest Skrull hunters ever to walk the earth. Honestly, my main complaint is how minor the Kill Krew was utilized in the story after a while. They mostly just exist to facilitate the Skrull hunting, given their natural ability to see through Skrull disguises. Seeing as how this was just their second outing, I was hoping for a bit more, but at least this lets me throw out Skrull Kill Krew's second storyline ever was in an Avengers comic, and just confuse the living hell out of anyone. Lastly, I want to bring up one little point I noticed in this run that becomes pretty obvious in the next run after this, concerning how Skrulls are depicted between these 2 Kill Krew comics. The Skrulls are Muslim.
God bless America.
Now, please just hear me out. I swear this isn't just me trying to throw in some political bullshit in the middle of a video about shape-shifting aliens and people eating alien burgers. Within the pages of Avengers Initiative, the Skrull have multiple lines implying that their conquering of Earth is some kind of almost religious exercise, going as far as to refer to a hymn that will love them for this, leading to my favorite line I've ever read in anything ever, honestly. God doesn't love you. He loves America. Holy shit. I feel like this whole interpretation of the Skrulls could be seen as a response to 9/11. Can't believe I get to write and read that on the internet. Oh my god. Given how it would have been relatively recent event, knowing how much people fucking hated Middle Easterners during this time overall. And honestly, with regards to sounding like a conspiracy theorist, this aged really well. Too well. With the black pill firmly swallowed, I think that's all the thoughts I had for this Avengers Initiative run of the Kill Krew. The last run for the Kree Slaughter Squad came soon after the Secret Invasion event wrapped up, and it takes our team back to their independent roots with another self-titled mini-series that gets our merry band back together. They don't kill Skrulls anymore. They don't kill Skrulls anymore. The cow hypnotized Skrulls fucked. They fucked the cows. The 2009 miniseries that follows after the events of Secret Invasion and Into Dark Reign takes our Shi'ar Termination team back to their roots, with Ryder, the only current active member, still hunting down the descendants of the previously mentioned cow Skrulls. The first issue is actually really strong, with Ryder tracking down a nightclub that's being used as a place for Skrulls undercover to lead humans to and slaughter them for food or just entertainment. Skrull killing ensues. After this, though, we get to see the old team get put back together, despite all dying in the end of Avengers Initiative. I know, nobody stays dead in comics, but they don't even try to really give an explanation as to how the rest of the Kill Krew came back, especially since they were buried at the end of the last story. Riot included, she was even less explained. Regardless, it's good to see the old guard get put back together, since they're still pretty consistent with their original personalities from the 90s. Well, Moonstomp he's got some changes. While going out together in search of hidden Skrulls around LA, the team learns more complexities about the Skrull underground society, which is where the book starts falling off for me, if I'm going to be honest. Now, to talk about how this story concludes, we have to get inherently political with the way the Skrulls are portrayed here. For God's sakes, they use the term Skrull American to describe themselves. The parallels are painfully obvious. Based on my personal individual, this is my idea, based on my reading of the Skrulls as Muslim from the Avengers Initiative story, I just went in with the assumption that they're like Middle Eastern Americans, which is honestly an insult if I was a member of such a group. In this new Kill Krew run, we still see multiple gangs of Skrulls that eagerly take part in human kidnapping, torture, and murder with no self-policing from the wider Earth-based Skrull society, where some of them are even in positions of power to report such things. The closest we get to good Skrulls fighting bad Skrulls is the hint of this with a suspicious Wolverine cameo that devolves into two Wolverine Skrulls fighting each other during a mission. Not exactly the kind of action needed against multiple gangs of torturous Skrulls. You know, reading this back for the recording right now, the Muslim comparison and the self-policing still aged like fine wine. After a few successful missions and light inner turmoil within the gang, they get news from a contact of writers that was running blood samples from them. They are all Skrulls.
Oh my gosh. Yo guys, it's me, Charlie. Hey, did that guy just turn into sand?
It's confirmed that the Skrull virus that originally gave the crew their powers and was slowly killing them had actually just replaced all their human DNA with Skrull DNA. This being the breaking point for Dice and Riot. Dice having gained some kind of hippy-dippy awareness about the nature of his powers, and Riot having gotten into a relationship with an Earthborn Skrull girl. This internal conflict gets even worse after the crew crashes Riot's date at a vegan Skrull restaurant. Yeah, wasn't a fan of where this was going myself. This splits the group pretty badly, with Ryder already struggling with a shaken sense of purpose after learning the truth of his nature, and the only other member of the crew still sure of the mission is Moonstomp. What a Chad. During this break, we see Norman Osborn, who's the current head of the SHIELD-like agency Hammer. It's all event stuff from the time, don't worry about it, I'm not going to talk about it. As he talks about the current state of Skrull society on Earth, and he confirms the worst case situation for any invasive species. The Skrulls have taken positions of authority in the media industries such as movie, TV, comics, and start forcing down the idea of human-Skrull coexistence, while their young go out and commit such heinous acts out of pure hatred for humanity. And oh my god, they're Jewish. I don't want to keep doing this. I swear to God, I'm not forcing these political ideas in. They're just legitimately written this way. Please, I beg of you, read it for yourself. I feel like I'm going fucking crazy here. The ending specifically is really up to interpretation, since the final act of the Kill Krew is to save the lives of the Earth-based Skrull elite from Osborn's soldiers before they could exterminate the subversive executives. This turns almost comedic when immediately afterwards they start partying with the Skrulls until Moonstomp shows up after having been left out of the attack, berating the team for being blinded by the story spun by the Skrull manipulators. To which the gang just abandons him, completely unlike anything they've done to a fellow Kill Krewer until this point. The crew also makes the pact to now protect Skrulls across America instead of on-site extermination, leading to the crash out you saw earlier from me. Now, the part that makes this all up to interpretation is the very last few pages, which reveals that at least the last action was written by Skrulls working for Marvel Publication, playing more into the deeper conspiracy of the Skrull infiltration of American media. And honestly, Still not helping with the Jewish analogy. Now, my personal take on this ending is that the entire story is real, per se, until the very last confrontation where the story is told by the Skrull comic writers who made the story more favorable for their political narrative. Again, this is just my interpretation. I implore you to seek out the book and read the story for yourself just to see what you make of it. I'm obviously a biased man. Who amongst us isn't? However it's meant to be seen, I find this ending extremely interesting for the implications of how the Kill Krew could wind up afterwards. Did they really fall for the Skrull scam, or did they see right through it and are still on the run from the Skrull underground? Unfortunately, it seems we may never find the answer for that question, since the only other reference to the crew that I can find anywhere is a single Howard the Duck issue, which seems like it's more of just a one-off gag than anything. Regardless, I hope you enjoyed the video and decided to pick up Skrull Kill Krew for yourself, since the original run, at least, is still one of the most fun reads I've ever had in a long time with a comic. I don't really know if I'm going to do a lot more of these kind of comic, game, story, whatever breakdown type videos, since I prefer focusing on making semi-original concepts, but if you like this, please drop a like and subscribe and comment and whatever else YouTube likes to let me know that these videos are decent enough to continue with. Honestly, making this script was fun, like a book report when you actually have something to say. So, yeah, as my neighbor starts mowing, I think this is a good time to go ahead and finish off with this one. But I think it's all the rambling I got in me, so again, like, comment, subscribe, whatever you'd like to do, and I appreciate you watching this far. So I hope to see you in whatever I do next. See ya.